Hi there, back again with some more Minecraft today, and well, today, or rather this week, has been different because, well, we haven't been having any vocal training this week, so we can't really talk a whole lot about that other than say that it's probably a good thing that we haven't, because I don't really feel like the current lesson has kind of stuck fully yet. So I actually don't mind having a little bit of time to practice it. It's just a lot of a different way to talk, basically. Like talking more through your nose is not something that I usually do a whole lot, so I really don't know, and honestly it's actually a little difficult when you live alone to do this sort of stuff, because, well, you probably know it from yourself, it's bloody hard to hear how you sound yourself, so it would be really nice to have someone here to actually tell me that, hey, you're doing this again, or you're doing this wrong, or something like that. But yeah, not so fortunate, unfortunately. But oh well. But yeah, no vocal training this week, and the reason for that is that my trainer was basically due to previous work, she needed to take some time off. In Denmark, you need to use your time off, otherwise it's just going to be taken away, of course, but most people don't want to have time off to be taken away, so she had to take some time off, and well, that just means that my lessons are basically going to be moved by a week, which is not bad at all, so it's not really a bad thing. And it gives me more time to practice in between, especially right now for a lesson that is more difficult. That is quite nice. But, well, let's see here. Let's turn this around. Oops. Yeah, so, well, it's when it comes to the exercises themselves, I'm okay satisfied with them. I've been improving a lot, and I've been happy with that, but in regards to just normal speech, it's still difficult to maintain it, so I need more practice, basically. But other than that, well, what has gone on and is going on? Well, today is Monday the 19th of September, and if I have to tell you why that date is significant, then I'm going to be sad. Because army hatties, that be talk like a pirate day, the most important day of the year. Talk about having problems talking with your normal voice, and that on top of that having to talk like a pirate as well. That's even more difficult. But yes, it's in fact the International Talk Like a Pirate Day today. So, it's a day where we dress up like pirates and have fun, and also drink alcohol and stuff. Of course, I don't really do that a whole lot anymore. So, yeah, I'm not really doing that, but I do the talking like a pirate stuff. Not like all the time, but basically woke up early and started sending out pirate tweets. It was fun. But yeah, it's a fun day, and here in Copenhagen, for instance, we have a bar that is called The Rock, and they play heavier music, metal, that sort of thing, and that's a kind of music that I actually quite like. I didn't when I was younger, but I sort of got into it while I was in high school. As many people do, I guess, but in the beginning I was kind of resistant towards it. I didn't want to listen to it, but then I sort of just, hey, this actually sounds pretty nice, and I started listening to Manowar and stuff, and yeah, enjoyed that quite a bit. So, well, I went out with one of my now former friends, And we got costumes, pirate costumes, which we could then use for this celebration. Let's see here, this goes over here, good. So we went to the rock in pirate costumes and partied and had grog and all that kind of stuff. That grog isn't really grog, it's like the usual thing you get at a bar, the sissy version of rum that just tastes like vanilla soda, and then mixing in a bunch of citrus fruit for some odd reason. I don't know how that is supposed to be piratey, but okay, I think it's more to appeal to like the mainstream audience, if you can say that, but yeah, it's okay. It tasted nice, except for the base rum that they used. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, so with that, well, we had a good party and we listened to live pirate music, and then afterwards, like there was a live pirate metal band. And then afterwards, well, we went home, and then out on the street we met some girls that were really excited to see pirates walking around. So they wanted pictures and all kind of stuff. It was fun. But yeah, so yeah, that's today. And well, what else is going on? Well, when this episode goes out, it's already going to be the case, basically. But the thing is, I am having visitors. I'm having a couple of friends come over. One of them is from Australia, and the other one is from Belgium. Both of them are transgender. And basically what is going to happen is, well, they're going to come here and then stay for the weekend. And then they're going to head off again on Tuesday. To go up to either Sweden or Norway or both, I'm not entirely sure, but they're going to come here and hopefully we can go and see some stuff. And they actually, by the time this goes up, they're already here, and also they have arrived on Friday, like right before my stream, basically. So if you were there for the stream, you might have heard them in the background, or I don't know if they will be joining in. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's a little unknown at the moment. Like, for a while there, I was even doubting whether or not they'd show up, because one of them blocked me. She has a little bit of a temper at times, so yeah, not the easiest to always get along with, but yeah. So that's not going to stop me from being a good friend and saying the things that you need to hear. Even if that hurts you or makes you hate me, I'm still going to say the things that is going to help you in the end. That might not be what you want at that time, but that is what is going to happen. So yeah. So yeah. What are we going to see? Well, we're hoping to see the Tivoli Gardens. Whether or not it's going to happen, I don't know. They also want to see the zoo. Both of them are quite close to me, but I mean, I've been quite down lately and it's a little hard for me to do stuff at the moment, but maybe we can do it. We'll find out. Let's do that. Yeah, this one goes. And this one. Actually, let's take that away. So yeah, that is the plan for that. And then also, well, what other stuff would I like to talk about? Well, something that isn't from this week, but something which is needing a talk about, and that is our D&D storyline, because it's been a little while since we revisited the adventures of Euvinia Treetopple to see what was going on. And well, I figured that we would continue the story and tell you what happened after the last time. If you remember, what happened the time before is we defeated the Feathergale Knights and spent the night in a tower, and then the next morning we sort of picked up a hippogriff. And then we went back to town and talked with the butcher, and all was fine and dandy. Let's see here. 3 down. One. There we go. So yeah, we went back to see the butcher, who is also the guy that handles like the police sort of businessy stuff. And he basically took a report, and then Mildred had gone over to see the weaponsmith to check on a shield. And then while he did that, the others went away, and Euvinia poked her head inside the shop and was basically asking around for some meat that she could bring with her to basically feed the animals. Because now she had both Bob and also now the hippogriff with her, and the hippogriff is going to eat a lot of meat, and that's going to cost her. But she doesn't want them to go hungry, so she wanted to buy them some proper meat, and well, Etienne wasn't really too keen on the idea, because his argument was that you're buying quality meat for something that will clearly eat anything. What the hell? And I can sort of see his point, but that's no reason to give them bad meat just because they can eat everything. Or anything, rather. So yeah, she got that, and then afterwards, well, everybody sort of met up and headed to the inn, where Euvinia stayed outside because she wanted to make sure that basically the hippogriff didn't cause any trouble there in the open street without any kind of restraints or anything. So she stayed with the hippogriff to make sure that it would be okay, and tucked Mildred's sleeve on the way in the door and asked him to basically ask for some food for the hippogriff, as well as a place in the stable or something. And well, Mildred and Etienne went inside, and they didn't find Kilessa, the innkeeper. She was gone. And there was a barmaid there that looked a little disturbed, especially upon seeing Mildred. And right as she saw Mildred, she ran into the back room. And not very long after, she came halfway flying out the door again, and behind her came a furious Kilessa. Because Kilessa had discovered the little den that Bob had made in one of the beds, and she was furious that basically we had ruined the room, or wrecked the room. So she basically wanted to toss us out, and was demanded that we pay for it. But Mildred managed to basically persuade her to let him fix the issue, her of course not believing that he can fix the issue, which he can really, because like he doesn't really have any special powers. He's a rogue, so not a whole lot of magic, and on top of that, I don't think Mildred is really the type to really go around with a thread and needle. Not to mention half the bed is on the floor. But, yeah, well, he bluffed his way to it and got Etienne to follow behind him. And with Etienne's assistance, he managed to convince Kilessa that he had magic powers, when it was in fact Etienne that mended the bed, put it back together through magic. And then, just to show off, Etienne created a tiny dancing Mildred at the foot of the bed, which freaked out Kilessa and made her shout for them to never do that kind of stuff inside again. It was fun. Poor Kilessa. She's not having an easy time. The bad thing is that, like, people like Mildred, for instance, they totally believe that they're saving this town, when in fact they're making more trouble than it's worth. But it's fun. Yeah, one more. Und 6. So yeah, they managed to fix it, but Kilessa was still not gonna let us get out scot-free. So basically, she had us agree to either, well, she was going to have us now pay for everything, including the repair. Well, the repair's now sorted, so that's not really an issue anymore. But she still refused that we get both free board and lodging, so she gave us the option of choosing whether we wanted free board or free lodging after that. And Mildred and Etienne agreed that we would go for the free lodging and then pay for the board. For those not speaking a whole lot of English all the time, board and lodging is basically just housing and food. So basically we would pay for our own food now, but we would still get free rooms, which is fair enough, I guess, although I kind of think the other would have been the better idea, because we're all sleeping in the same room anyway, so we're not really paying extra for that. But well, I wasn't there to make the decision. But while all this is going on, well, Kilessa had sent a guard outside to basically show Euvinia to the stable with her quote-unquote horse. Her fancy horse, which is what they used to describe it, to basically get around saying that she had a bloody hippogriff with her. And yeah, this guard, he was not expecting to see a hippogriff. In fact, I don't think he's ever seen a hippogriff before, so he was kinda scared and not really wanting to get close to this thing. So he kept his distance and like opened the door and like backed away and like opened the door to the stable pen and then put a chair inside the door to hold it open so that he wouldn't have to stand there, and then basically backed away and left. Well, Euvinia's just like, thank you. But after all the things inside was settled, well, Mildred, as Euvinia had asked, came out with some food. Let's see here, how do we want this? This one should definitely be that. But yeah, he came out with some food, probably not enough. He got one chicken for himself and one for Euvinia, and a couple of mugs of ale. But Euvinia's kind of wanted him to get food to give to the hippogriff. So basically what she did is pull out a dagger, stab it into the chicken, and then basically rip it into half, give the hippogriff a half, munch on a leg herself, take the last remainder, break that in half, and then give half of it to Bob and the other half to the hippogriff as well. And then after that, well, it was pretty much time to go to bed. It should be noted that Kilessa had insisted that she would take out, she's very insistent on giving good service to her patrons, even after all the trouble we've caused, which is admirable. But, well, Mildred and also Etienne was kind of afraid that she would freak again seeing a hippogriff in the stable, so they kind of convinced her that that Mildred should be the one to bring out the food, not her. And they succeeded. So after dinner, well, everyone went to bed pretty much. Mildred correctly assumed that Euvinia was going to sleep in the stable, because she was not going to leave the hippogriff behind. So he decided that he was going to stay out there as well to take care of her and make sure she was okay. And that's probably a good idea, because through the night they had some strange dreams. Euvinia dreamt that everyone had similar dreams, but they were slightly different. All had an elemental theme, each of them a different element. For instance, Mildred had a dream about water, and Etienne dreamt about wind, I believe. So the only element that was missing was fire, because Euvinia dreamt of earth. What happened was that Euvinia, she dreamt that she was back home, cooking food, talking with her dad. Then a flash, and they're sitting at a table, and everything is happy. Euvinia is telling her dad how she came about Bob and how she managed to basically tame Bob and make him come along with her. And then all of a sudden her father starts coughing, and he won't stop coughing, and then he starts coughing up dirt, and then he starts coughing up pebbles, and Euvinia freaks out and jumps to her feet and tries to run to get some help or some water or something to help with this situation. But for some reason, when she was trying to run, she couldn't move. She was just standing still while running. And she panics more and more, and her dad keeps coughing more and more, and then all of a sudden, like, she notices all the others outside looking in, staring at her. She shouts for help, but none of them recognizes her shout. And then all of a sudden, out of the ground rises a giant elemental of earth, looks at her, laughs at her, and then swoops up all her friends as a giant chasm opens in the ground, and then walks into the chasm and disappears into the ground. And then a flash, and all of a sudden Euvinia is awake again, back in the stable. Everybody else has woken up as well. Euvinia was afraid, to say the least. She quickly turned to check on the hippogriff, who was still sleeping, seemingly undisturbed. So that was at least one good thing. Yeah, she checked on the hippogriff, and as she was still checking on it, Mildred came over to check on her, and I mean, she was clearly disturbed at this point. This is not something that she has experienced before, and even if she had, it would still be disturbing. So she was kind of panicking, and well, while all that is happening, Etienne upstairs, he has also woken up, and well, for some reason Ballandor has disappeared. He's just gone. And then there's Mordecai. He's still sleeping soundly as if nothing had happened. So Etienne tries to wake him up, and he's just grumpy, and he doesn't recognize anything about what he said about a dream. So Etienne lets him continue sleeping, while he himself... Hi there, Pyro. While he himself basically heads down to check on the others down in the stable. And as he gets down there, well, everybody talk about these weird dreams that they've had, and like what they saw, and discuss what it meant. But then all of a sudden we hear something out there. A strange sound in the distance. Euvinia didn't notice it. She was too flustered basically to notice anything. But a strange sound in the distance, kind of like howling or barking, or a mix of both, but not something that would fit any dog that any of them had ever heard of or seen before. So what was this? Well, whatever it wasn't good. So Mildred and Etienne was quick to decide that they need to get inside and they need to warn the others. The only problem is, well, Euvinia did not want to leave. Okay. Euvinia did not want to leave her hippogriff out there alone. So she insisted that she stayed there. And Mildred wasn't happy about that, clearly, because he wanted to keep her safe, and he didn't believe that she was safe out there, and he was probably right. But she managed to convince him that she'd be okay, and that they should go inside and get the others. And they did. They went inside and got hold of the others. And, well, Etienne went and woke up Mordecai, and, well, Mildred went over to try and wake up Sam, and finding her, of course, out of her armor because she was sleeping. And then basically helping her into the armor. And then, after they'd gotten all suited up, they head downstairs and, basically try to make their way to the stable. But as they get downstairs, they hear a scratching. Notice. So yeah, they got downstairs and heard scratching and barking at the door, at the front door of the inn. But the stable was out back, and like most inns would probably have a back entrance, somewhere in the kitchen, for instance, where like stuff like groceries could be delivered. And true enough, this one did as well. So they basically went inside that inside the kitchen where they thought the kitchen was, and then basically went to look for, let's see, I think this should be Darkwood. So yeah, they went out the back entrance and tried to be quiet so as to not alert whatever this was. But as they got out the back door, they saw a creature there. The only problem is when they opened the door creaked. And this creature turned around and looked at him, a black as night dog, like coal, with like, or dog-like creature rather, with burning red eyes and a flaming maw. A hellhound. And this thing had now spotted them and was now lunging at them. Straight at Sam, who burst out the door in front of everyone, seeing the creature attack, and was attacked herself, but the creature couldn't bite through her armor, just grabbing onto her arm. But she couldn't really manage to hit it either, so kind of a stalemate. Pi tried running up beside it and around it, and well, he managed to stab it in the side as he passed by, but the only problem was that it kind of bit him as well, and being bitten by this flaming maw, well, you're not going to bleed, but it's definitely going to hurt. So Mildred, with his eye now, or with his arm now feeling like it was on fire basically, and with a want to go and check on Euvinia, he rushes into the stable, only to basically be met halfway by Euvinia, who is on the way out because she's heard all the commotion and is now on her way out to find out what's going on and basically join in. And well, seeing that, he runs over and basically finds a bucket of water to stick his arm into, because he just burned himself pretty bad. And he finds one, does that, and then an idea strikes him. Right as all this is happening, the others manage to bring down the first hellhound, just as two more show up. Mordecai and Etienne try to run into the stable, but Sam is stuck outside. One of the hellhounds that joins the fight goes straight for Sam, and the other, well, that goes straight for Etienne and Mordecai. And what happens then? Well, it runs up to them and barks fire, which lights the stable on fire. But no one notices in all the commotion. So now the building is on fire too. Not a good thing. But that is when Mildred manages to bring his sudden plan into fruition, because he thinks, well, this hippogriff, that can probably help us. I mean, he's trained to some degree, right? And he kind of trusts at least Euvinia and maybe even some of the others. So he lets the hippogriff out, and that hippogriff comes storming by out the door. And that's when Euvinia gets startled. She did not expect, she did not intend to bring the hippogriff into this, because she wants it safe, him safe. So she basically didn't expect him to come by, so she turns her head to look, which makes her notice the wall on fire. And her first reaction is to shout, "The stable is on fire! Help the animals!" And rushes to do that herself, Mildred joining in and starting to free the horses from the pens, because the poor things are freaking out because they're about to be burned alive. They manage to save all the horses and let them free, which is really good. There's just while all that is going on, the battle is still raging, and well, the others are having a little bit of trouble, but then basically outbursts the hippogriff and jumps one of the hellhounds, pins it down, bites it, and then just rips into it with its claws, and basically rips the hellhound to pieces. Very, very aggressively. And then there is like the other one that turns and tries to run, but Euvinia has pulled out her wand at this point. She's already shot it once, but she shoots it again. Oops. And this time aiming it all at that one, and that one turns around and basically rejoins the fight, but they bring it down quickly, and then yeah, the fight is over, but the stable is on fire. Things are not going great, and at this point, like, Euvinia's just convinced that this fire is too bad. They can't contain it because she's just a little halfling, so she don't really believe that they can do a whole lot. So at this point, from her point of view, the only option they really have is to get everyone out and to safety. But whether or not the others agree with that is another matter. But that's basically where that session left off. A little bit of a cliffhanger there. But we're going to continue the story, of course, just not today. But there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about today, other than D&D. Let's see, where does this one go up to? Where did I end off? I ended up there, so if we go there... Oops. But yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that's a little bit more of a personal thing. Well, I guess Euvinia is personal to me, but you know what I mean. And that is, you know, I've been talking about being lonely and such for a while now. Well, that hasn't changed, and I was actually offered by someone, again, I'm not going to mention names, but it's one of the 4 people that are involved. I'm not going to hide that fact. Involved in that whole situation with me, and it's not Kitty and it's not Marcus. And well, with all of that, basically what I was offered is the opportunity to come and visit for instance, a week or so, and basically see how it feels, how it goes, that sort of thing. And in a way I really, really want to, but I have to admit I'm also quite scared of it. And why am I scared? Well, there they are. Well, basically, you know, when I went to witness for work, I had quite an anxiety situation going on. Well, it's not just for work, it's basically any kind of traveling that does it to me. It's just general travel anxiety. Everything basically, it doesn't have any cause specifically. It's everything that can possibly go wrong. And that's quite rough. So, and of course, going to England is not as bad as going to America, and this would be in America. So, yeah. Like, what I was thinking about is I could take a week's vacation and then basically go visit like this. And then maybe afterwards I can go and visit Kitty afterwards, although at the moment I don't even know if he really wants to see me at the moment. I hope so, but I don't really know. like he said, right now he couldn't come here, so it might be the same for me going there, and I would understand if that was the case, but in another sense I also can't imagine that it would be the case. But well, what I was thinking is I could go and visit and then go visit Kitty afterwards, basically go from one place to the next. It wouldn't be easy to do, but it would be possible. The only issue is, well, the travel anxiety. And then there's also always the feeling of meeting someone the first time. You know, it's always scary and overwhelming when you're meeting someone the very first time. And especially when it's someone you care about. I mean, I haven't met him face to face before, so I'm afraid of how that would go. But also there's of course always the possibility, it's an ugly thing to say, but there is always the possibility that it could go wrong in some way. Like there could be maliciousness. I cannot imagine that that would be the case here, but it would be like me to be too trusting, so I can't really discount that, like, me being trusting would eventually end up biting me in the ass and causing me pain. Oops. And I mean, if that happens, that could go bad, but I really don't think that would be the case here, so don't go worrying, please. But like, it is something you have to think about. If you don't think about it, then I think you're harming yourself. And then of course there's also the fear of being a disappointment. Like, if I go there and see him and I'm not what he thinks I am, I can't live up to expectation, that would hurt a lot. That would hurt a great deal. So that's also scary. And then on top of that, well, we also have the last and probably most significant thing of all, and that is, I'm scared that I would end up falling for him, because like it's easy when you are far from each other. Like at the moment we're just talking with each other, but like if I went and visited him and ended up falling for him, then it would be a whole other matter, a whole other headache. If I end up falling for him and I can't quote unquote have him, that I don't know. Like, basically, I'm not sure that I could enter into yet another long distance relationship again. Like, I've had good times with Kitty, but saying that it hasn't been extremely hard, giggity, would be a lie. It has been draining to all hell, and at some points I was afraid that we'd never make it, but I kept being stubborn and basically pressing on. But I have to admit, my strength is running out. I am not as strong as I once was, and I'm running out of energy. And I'm not sure that I could basically do it again. Not another long distance relationship. So it's hard. And I also kind of feel bad for even considering going for such a visit because, well, I mean, I'm still mated to Kitty, and if I go and visit someone else, that just seems wrong. But on the other hand, if I'm going to try and pursue my own happiness, more so than I have before, should I then go and, for instance, meet these various people face to face and get to know them more personally? I know them personally from online, but it's way different when you see them in person. Like, I would like to go and visit Marcus as well, for instance, but that might be a little more complicated at the moment because of Marcus's situation. If it was possible, though, I would definitely want to do it. And that wouldn't be an issue, but in this case, well, it's sort of appended onto something I already have with Kitty, and that kind of feels wrong to me. So yeah, it's just something I wanted to talk about because it's kind of weighing on my mind. Very, very tempted. I really want to do it, but I'm scared to do it. And I also feel bad for wanting to do it. So, well, yay, I'm complicating my situation more. I do that a lot. But I think it is time we call off this episode because I've been babbling on for ages again. So let's call it off there and return with more building next time. We're almost there with the lining now, and then we have a little bit more texture work, and then we continue on to the next phase. And we also have more D&D to talk about because we actually have one session already done. And here on Wednesday, the day after my friends here leave again, we are going to have another session, so we'll actually have 2 stories, but I'll leave the other one, or the next one, for maybe next time. Depends what's going to happen over the weekend, basically, how much I have to talk about. But yeah, I wanted to have it in here, even though it made the episode a little long, because it's been a little while since we continued the story, and, well, before I forget everything. So, for now, though, let's call it off here. Say thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now, everybody. Bye.